Hi everyone, welcome back to Phoenixology. I want to start out today's video by saying to everyone thank you so much for watching my videos and subscribing to the videos. And of course, I love your comments. Thank you so much for leaving those comments, and it's just showing me basically that whatever I'm showing, someone's interested, but and I'm glad I'm able to cut down some of the learning time for some of you, as well as, getting rid of some of the frustration. So in my candle journey last year, I had a customer that requested a special order of fall candles, and I decided to try something new, like marble it or tie-dye it. And I've seen other candle makers doing it, and I came up with one method that I did for myself after trying another method that I found. I don't know if anyone else has done it, but after playing around with one of the methods that I found and some other candle makers do to make their marbles, I decided to try another method. So I'm going to show you two ways how to marble your candles. And I'm going to do a two-part video because this is time consuming and tedious. So the first part, I'm going to show you what I saw another candle maker do to make their marbles. And then the second part video, which hopefully I'll do it soon, will be the method that I decided to try to make my candles. Now this first method, I find it a little bit frustrating, but it's a good way to add color if you want to play around with it a little bit more, and if you're forgetting to add the color and you want to add it at a later time. So either way will work. You just decide, play around with it, and see what method is best for you. So this first method, we're definitely going to use some awesome colors from Candle Science. I love their colors. Number one, their colors are very strong. You don't need a lot. And you also want to store it upright when you purchase them, and they last a very long time. I think I've had these for about a year. So now I don't use a lot of colors in my candles, but that's another story of how it looks after a while of storing them, because I'm using soy. But when I add colors, I want them to be vibrant, and I want them to work as strong as I need them to. So Candle Science has some very good colors to work with. So I'm working with the reds, and I'm working with I think this one is orange. And this is my fall candle that I was working on today, and just showing you how to marble colors. So when you're working with candles and you're adding colors, no two colors are alike, or no two candles will look the same when you're marbling. So get the idea out of your head that you want it to be exact, and you're expecting it to turn out exact. So the first thing we want to do to create this candle is we're going to take a stick, and this is a wooden like toothpick. I don't know exactly what you call it, but I'll call it a toothpick. It's wooden, or you can find like a metal one that's similar to this. And what you do is you take it and you stick it down in the candle where you want to add the color. Okay, so you stick it down in here. And now, since I'm adding two colors, I'm going to put one color over here and one color on the other side. So you have to determine your margins that you want to use to add these colors in here. So my goal for this candle is to have one color over here and then another color over here. And I want them to meet in the middle. I don't know how perfect it's going to come out, but here's to hoping that it does. And then once you're finished making your little holes, and you probably can't see it with the lighting, what it's doing is making a little space in the wax that's already created for you to drop that dye. And I have another one on this side. Okay, so keep in mind this method is used after you've made your candle, it's cooled and hardened. And this is one method to use. So I'm going to, in the first candle, the hole that I made, I'm going to put about 1 drop because Candle Science, their dye is very strong. And I'm going to take 1 drop and I'm going to put it right here in the candle, in that hole. So, and watch it just go as it slide down. And it's going to fall into that hole. So the next hole, I'm going to take the orange and I'm going to go ahead and try to drop it directly in that hole. So it's not a perfect science. So it's okay to make mistakes. Because this is one of the methods that it doesn't matter how you do it or if you mess it up, there isn't a right design or a right way to swirl or do the technique, because it's whatever design you decide to do. Now, after doing it for a while, then you'll get better with it and how to swirl it and how to blend the colors. But when it comes to colors, I just think they're beautiful when you blend them together or when you add them to your candles. I just don't use them a lot because when there are air pockets involved, then it starts getting, oh gosh, I forgot what the term is, but it turns white. The color starts breaking down and you'll see white areas in there from the air pockets. So that's why I don't use them often. Now you'll have sometimes where they actually don't have any ear pockets and they're perfect. They adhere to the glass perfectly and you don't run into that issue. So after a while, I let it sit so the colors could basically run as far down as they can get. You see that right here? All right, so once I have those colors in and I let them run and sit for a little bit so they can get as far down as possible, the other item that you will need to make your tie-dye is a heat gun. So I'm going to mute the video and speed it up a little bit to get through, you know, the heat gun after a while. But right now, I'm going to show you the method that I use. So what I do is I start heating one side. As the wax melts and it becomes liquid, you'll see the color flowing and moving around. And I move my jar like this, back and forth, back and forth. That's what gives it its swirl. I move it back and forth, sideways, however you want to do it. Sometimes I even take it up and do this with it to swirl it. Then when the colors bleed on this side, I start and I go to the other side and let this color bleed. And the goal is you want the outside of this jar to heat up and melt the wax on the external portion of it, the wax that's directly against the glass, I should say. And then you're just swirling that wax because you don't want the whole candle to get wet and heat up and melt. You just want the outer side of it to melt. And that's the part you start moving like that. You start swirling. You could even do this as you got the heat gun going. Just be careful because it can get very hot. If you need to use a heat protectant glove, do that as well. Safety first. And just start swirling and swirling and moving it around like this. And as you're heating it, as it starts melting, I like to move it as fast as this to swirl it around. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And I'll show you how it looks as I'm heating it up. And you can tell me what you think. All right, let's get ready. Okay, so this is what it looks, and what I do is I take it and I just swirl it a little bit because, you know, I'm letting the colors sit, and I just keep swirling it and let the colors mix. Now, if needed, you can go ahead and add like another color on top. So let's say that you want a little bit more yellow. If it's already mixed in, what you can do is take that color, drop it on top, and then you go ahead and you add the heat gun. So I'm just going to do this really quickly. You guys excuse the noise. And that color on top is going to now bleed in a little further down. So it just depends on how much color you want. And once it cools, you'll get the true color. So be careful though, because this glass can be hot. And these lines right here that has more color in it, don't worry about it, because once it cools, this is going to be the side that's going to pop, because it has color sitting in there. And sometimes, you know, it'll go away once it cools because the color will cover it up. So this is because I didn't want too much bleeding of the colors. So let's hope that this comes out the way that I want it to. And then you could always go in later on once it cools, and you can continue until you get it the perfect way that you want it, or whatever is comfortable with you. So go ahead, try it out. Let me know how it worked out for you guys. And if you want, I don't know if YouTube lets you add the picture, but you can just post or comment, let me know how it turns out. And sometimes while it's cooling, you can go in and, you know, turn it a little bit to swirl the colors a little bit more. So hopefully they'll turn out like the other ones. I love how the other ones that I did earlier turned out, where it had the little designs in it, the little colors. So the bottom, of course, you'll see some of that bleed in there, and you can go into the bottom and use the heat gun and blend it. But I have my labels at the bottom, my candle caution or usage label that covers the bottom, but I'm going to go in and melt the bottom a little bit so I could get the swirls in here. All right, so look at this one. Isn't this beautiful, you guys? I need to put a bigger label on here, but this is what the bottom is going to look like when you finish with adding the color to the bottom. So you don't need to add any more color. Just go ahead and melt it more at the bottom, and you'll get that blend. All right. Thank you for watching. Comment on the video. Let me know if you tried it. Let me know how it turned out for you. So as I mentioned, don't worry about those lines, because you see those lines disappeared. And when they do show, it just looks like part of the design. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for part 2. Hopefully I'll get part 2 done this week. If not, I'll do it over the weekend. You guys have a great evening. Bye.